Mridul, speaking of exits as well as the IPO pipeline, you've got a bunch of portfolio companies that are in the pipeline, whether it's FirstCry or Swiggy. In fact, we've just got an upgrade coming in from Invesco as far as Swiggy is concerned. Where do you see valuations in 2024? The froth has corrected significantly, but do you believe that we're yet to see the bottom as far as valuations are concerned and more correction perhaps through 2024?
Yeah, look, Shireen, capital markets are always very hard to predict, especially in the short term. Overall, fundamentally, the companies you see today, especially the ones which are going for IPO, you see them in a much, much better shape than you saw them 2-3 years back. FirstCry, Swiggy, Urban Company, Ixigo, bunch of our portfolio companies lining up for an IPO. All of them have scaled, continued to grow. All of them have become more efficient. 3 years back, if I would have asked any one of you to guess how many listed tech companies would be in India, I don't think we would have come anywhere close to the number we see today. So from a next 2 to 3 to 5 years perspective, we think a number of tech companies in India will go IPO and will go IPO in India, just given.
What would your best guess be on the number of IPOs that we could see in 2024 go through?
24, look, it's hard to say 24, but if you have to put me at a spot, I would say 5 to 10 at least. But I would say in next 3 to 5 years, we should have anywhere between 35 to 40 listed tech companies from India listed in India. And that I think is something we should definitely aspire for.
Okay, 5 to 10 perhaps in 2024 and then significantly higher in the medium term. Vaibhav, let me address that issue with you. The valuation mismatch that we saw, more sort of saner valuations through 2023. What does 2024 look like on that front? And especially when we talk about regaining and rebuilding the trust that perhaps was lost with some of the initial tech IPOs that we saw and the lessons from there.
I think what we're seeing is the correction in how to build businesses has happened at scale in India in 2023, right? And that is, I think, at the center of sort of the shift that we have to put in perspective. Remember, I think the money that came in and speculated and didn't get what it speculated on may have gone. But we actually have produced companies now that will essentially produce, like Mridul said, IPO-ready companies over the next several years, right? So I think the valuations will essentially adjust over a period of time. I don't think as investors, venture investors, we take valuations very seriously when they are super high or super low. I think we really have to focus on the quality of businesses that we're building. And I think we're seeing across sectors, several growth stage companies across climate, fintech, SaaS and others, where you can see high quality companies being built. And they will be sort of the role models for many others that we are funding at the founding stages, right? So I think we should be fine. I can't predict on the number of IPOs because we are really at the founding stage. We're sort of building for the Mriduls of the world. But I think we are in a very strong position. And I think valuations will catch up to the right number more than anything else.
Yeah, since we're talking valuations, let me try and elicit. I know something that captures headlines always. The unicorn drought that everyone has been talking about through 2023. Do you anticipate the drought ending, Vaibhav? I'll start with you and then get Ashwin and Mridul on as well.
Tough to say. Let's say that unicorn-worthy companies will be many new ones in 2024. I can see that from the execution that we're seeing across many of our companies. Whether they will go out and raise to sort of get to that valuation is really a function of what they think is right for their companies. So I think we really have to, I've written about the unicorn ambition, a post long back, and I think it's really an outcome. It's a tag that somebody else gives you, right? I think we really have to build companies that are unicorn and decacorn worthy, and I think we are very well on path to it. I think the funding environment will essentially define whether companies do go out and raise capital to cross that mark.
Ashwin, your thoughts on the current unicorn drought, and more importantly, what would be to your mind, your most interesting bets? You could talk about a sector, or you could even talk about companies for 2024.
Shireen, we have probably 4 or 5 companies that we think can go public in the next 2 to 3 years. Companies like Wow Momo, Bira, Ayurveda Experience, Milky Mist, and others. But for us, the real number is, can these companies go from 50, 100 crores profit pools a year to 500,000 crores? I think that to me is a bigger validation than having a unicorn tag. If somebody is doing 1,000 crore profit, then that's a very special company, and that company has been built to withstand many storms over years. So the profit pools are something that we're focusing on much more than valuations, because valuations, as you know, can move up and down quite honestly with cycles.
Yes, we have seen that play itself out. Mridul, I'll give you the final say, the most interesting investment bet that you're going to be watching out for in 2024.
Look, I again, as I said, as everyone said, I agree, right? I think revenue pools and profit pools are really the right money triples. I would say all the known areas are very well known, but I would say space tech as a sector is something we feel very, very excited about as sort of an emerging space, in a space where as a fund we are spending enough time, effort, and resources to build our knowledge and capability in. We feel like India has finally proven its prowess over many years on being able to design, deliver low-cost, high-quality outcomes. And that's one area I would say is one very big area of focus for us, and a big area of watching out for us, which could break out in 24. And we would definitely be watching it very, very closely.
Well, we've already seen our moonshot moment, quite literally, with the Chandrayaan. And we've, of course, also seen the emergence of private space tech companies, including one that is now listed on the Indian bourses. And perhaps, as Mridul points out, that is going to be the big bet. And I know that Ashwin and Vaibhav are betting on space tech as well. So that could be one of the big themes playing out through the course of 2024, along with exits and hopefully robust IPOs. Mridul, Ashwin and Vaibhav, many, many thanks for joining us on the first edition of Young Turks for 2024. Appreciate your insights as well as your outlook for the year ahead. We are going to take a break here on the program. There's a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a minute with more.